For some unknown godly reason, unbeknownst to literally anyone in this world, I am doing a podcast today about shitting yourself in public. Yeah, I am. Don't ask me why. I actually don't know. But I think it's amusing. And if you can't laugh at yourself, then are you ever really having a good time? And I'm like, I love taking the piss out of myself. So today we're going to really, delve in, quite literally, to my poo. Because I had a recent issue the other day. I was out and about and an error occurred. An anus error, a rectal error. And today that's what I'm going to talk about. But I'm going to take you back in time to prehistoric times, essentially, the 1990s, where all of my pooey nightmares began. Because this is not a new thing. I want to reiterate, by the way, I've only unsolicitedly shat myself about 6 times. So it's not a lot. In fact, that is quite a lot. But we'll start with the first episode where I did actually shit myself. And that was a big error on my part. But I hope you'll forgive me. And then we'll move on to increasingly, we'll just go through time. So we'll go from actually shitting myself, like poo in my pants, to some further disasters, because each episode has been its own little story in itself. They're not all the same. You think, shitting yourself is just shitting yourself. I'm telling you that it's not, because each story has its own merits. Okay, so today that is what we're talking about. If you don't like poo, leave. If you are maybe a bit squeamish, I'm not going to talk about blood, don't worry. I've never had any PR bleeding, but I will not be talking about blood today. But if you're squeamish with poo, definitely click off or stop listening, or whatever you're doing, just stop doing it, because this is not the episode for you, my friends. If you want to join in on some comedy chats, and I just talk about life shit, really. What does a young millennial, am I a millennial? Female experience in this world? Maybe not even a female, but a person. So here we go. I do have some really hilarious and embarrassing stories throughout my life, and to be honest, I don't know why I like telling them. I just think they're really funny, and you have nothing to lose by listening to them, except if you're listening to it in the car or something, and you've got the windows wound down, and there I am talking about my poo, and people are like, what is this person listening to? And they might shout in and be like, what are you listening to? And you'll be like, oh my god, it's Dawn's podcast, Backseat Positivity. Go check it out, where she talks about all of her bodily fluid mishaps. But don't be embarrassed, my friends, because I'm the one that is fucking myself over here. I'm the one that has everything to lose. Do I? I don't know. Anyway, look, it's a natural bodily function, and it's just a problem that I have in my life, and I'm sure many other people do. So let's make light of it and just have a good time. My fecal issues go a long way back. Let's talk. Well, I mean, we're avoiding baby period, because everybody shat themselves when they were a baby. I just can't even comprehend that. We just shat ourselves when we were a baby. Did we know, or was it just well, I don't care, I'm just gonna shit? I don't know. I kind of want to know. I feel like babies do know, and surely they've got the anal tone to hold it in, but it just comes out. I don't know. I've never really thought about this. That's my weird thought of the day. Okay, I can't remember exactly how old I was when this first episode happened, but I remember which house it was in, and I lived in several houses, so I'm going to judge. Does that look okay? I don't know. No. I'm going to judge. I just clipped my hair back and it looks really ugly because it's semi-wet. And yeah, I actually washed my hair, so it is slightly wet. It gets once a week wash, maybe twice a week if it's lucky. And yeah, it's not looking too hot right now. So I judge it by which house I'm in. I was in my house in Cheltenham, not my house. I didn't fucking own it, did I? No, because that would be a true revelation of this story if a millennial actually owned their own house. Am I right? Yes. And I was in my house in Cheltenham, my house, and I remember I was like playing outside, and I must have been about 3 years old. Not old, okay? But old enough to like go out and do shit, like leave the house and play in the road. Apparently that's what we did as children, play in the road. I don't think kids play anymore like outside, do they? And they certainly don't play in the road. Anyway, there I was playing in the road. A sudden urge comes over me. I'm like, oh, I think I need to go. And I'm like, I run towards the door. I don't remember how far I had to run. The next thing, uncontrollably, like I can't stop it. It's like, it's made its decision. It says, I'm coming out of you no matter what. I don't care if you're at the toilet. I don't care if you're still outside. I don't care if you're standing on a stage in front of a crowd of 1 million people and this happens. I have made my decision and I am your bowels. There I am, hand on the door handle, and it just slides out. The only thing I can think of is that it's like a log flume, but without the splashing. It was such a formed poo. It was beautiful. But I just remember it like sliding its way. I've got a very vivid memory of this. I don't know why, but it's the weirdest sensation, shitting yourself. Especially when it's not diarrhea, like it was a fully formed, fully fledged formed boy. It felt like someone had like dropped a warm banana into my pants. And I feel like this is acceptable because I was 3 years old, right? So whatever, fucking sue me. And so warm banana is in my pants, and to be honest, I don't remember what happens after that. Obviously it was too traumatic. I think I just went to the toilet and emptied it. Like, it was so formed. If you looked on the Bristol stool chart, it would be, and yes, I know them off by heart, it would be a type 4 or 5, probably a 5. If you don't know the Bristol stool chart, go check it out, because that is, it's basically, what do your poos look like? And unfortunately, some of them do describe them as food items. Not my favourite. I just prefer the one with pictures. And I'm just like, okay, that's what it looked like. I actually had a discussion with some of the doctors in the mess once. Like, can you tell what type your poo is going to be before it comes out of your anus? Like when it's kind of sitting in that holding bay in your rectum. And I don't think you can, not accurately. You can tell if it's going to be like, usually you can tell if it's going to be runny. But often you're like, is it just air? Is it poo? I don't know. And then you fart and you're like, okay, fine. And sometimes, of course, it can go the other way round where you're like, is it a fart? I think it is. And then shit comes out and you're like, oh, okay. Now this poo, when I was 3 or 4 years old, it made its way out into the wild, wild world without any permission, really. So I also want to tell you a very brief story, and it's literally got no point to it whatsoever. It's actually just a fact, it's not a story. When I was also a similar age to that, I also had a green poo, like fucking green. Like, if you're watching on the podcast, on the video, it was like this green. Like a light, what would I even call that? Grass green? But a bit lighter. Oh, shit. It was a bit more like neon-y, but not quite as bad as that. Anyway, it was fully green. I've never seen anything like it in my life except that one time, and I've never seen anything like it since. And I want to know, oh, pardon me, if anybody else has had a fully formed green poo. It was astonishing, it really was. If I had an iPhone back then, I would have 100% taken a picture of it. But guess what? I was like 5, and I'm not even sure cameras existed. Yes, I did. But, I wasn't going to go and get a wind-up camera, was I? And, take a picture of it, and then they get it... they process it at, the pharmacy or whatever. Why pharmacies process photos, I do not know. Anyway, you go and get it processed, and then there's just a picture of a shit. A green one, though. So, pretty mesmerising, if you ask me. So, anyway, disposed of that poo, didn't I? Both of those that I talked about. Now, since then, since 3... I think that was my last ever full shit myself episode, I am pleased to admit. Because all the other episodes have been like, I can feel things happening, but I can hold it in. And when it gets to a point of like, oh no, I can't anymore, then I'll go, right? If I'm in a situation where times are bad, which we're going to get into. There have obviously been some turtle head moments, some touching cloth moments, but I guess that's why there's the phrase for it. Because, you know, everybody's had a turtle head moment, haven't they? And sometimes that turtle head extends a little bit too far. Oh my God, I've just remembered something. This is maybe not something I want to admit, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm fucking stupid. So I was... The other day I was at the hospital. This was actually recent as well. This is like a full admission, like guilty as charged. You know when you're in the disabled toilet, and why, I don't know. I do not understand why, when you're sitting on the toilet, there is a mirror either facing you or right next to you. Neither are good. Neither I want to be there. In fact, move them, put them on the back of the door. I don't care, but I don't want to be looking at myself whilst I'm on the toilet. It's not a good sight. It really isn't. I can tell you from experience. So there I am. The toilet at this point, the mirror at this point is on my right hand side, like looking, like so that I can watch myself. Oh God, I can't believe I'm telling this story. So I can see myself from the side. Yeah, no more needed to explain there. Okay, there I was. I had another urgent poo. Why I did this, I don't know. I do not know. I wish I knew the answer, but I don't, and I'm distressed by it. Because I was sat on the toilet and then I got this thought that wouldn't it be weird, because sometimes you get those poos that sort of like take a little while to transition from internal to the external world. They're sort of in limbo a little bit. They're like, I'm coming out, but it's a bit like when a baby comes out and it's just its head sticking out, and it's just like, that was me being an ugly baby head, which is being strangled by a vagina, essentially. And so there's my poo hanging out, and I got this strange thought, and I was like, what happens if I just stand up? I didn't stand up fully, okay? I hovered over the toilet and I gave myself quite a fright. I don't know what I was expecting to see. I knew that I was expecting to see a shit hanging out of my bum. Yes, I knew that that was going to happen. I knew that that was what was happening. I knew that that was what I was going to witness. Yet when I saw it, I actually gasped and threw my hand over my mouth, and I was literally like, and I was like a little fucking child. I couldn't believe what I'd just seen. Now, when I watched Two Girls, One Cup, yes, I actively went out of my way to watch that at one point in my young adolescent life. I have never seen shit come out of a bum, like a human bum. Yes, I've seen lots of dog shit coming out of dog bum. I've seen horse shit coming out of horse bum. I've seen cow shit coming out of cow bum. I'm just going to name every single animal I've seen now. I've also seen goat, sheep, and that's it actually. Donkey, I would kind of class that as a horse, and cat, and fish. Okay, a lot of animals. Look, I like animals, okay, so I spend a lot of time with them. Anyway, I've never seen a human shit coming out of a human until I watched Two Girls, One Cup. There I was, horrified. I'm not sure whether it was ice cream or actual poo. I like to think in my head that it was ice cream, because it distresses me too much to think that that was actual human shit. Oh, and the things they did with it. I'm sure it's still on the internet, guys. If you haven't had the pleasure of going to watch that show, Two Girls, One Cup, please go ahead. I don't know where you'll find it, but it'll fucking be there. I can explain it for you. It's basically two girls shitting in a cup. It's like supposed to be some kind of porn scene, but I don't know. Doesn't do anything for me. And it is actually kind of horrifying. One of them shits in a cup. Pretty fucking obvious, really, isn't it? One of them shits in a cup, and then one of them like eats it, and then somehow I think it goes back into the human, but I can't remember how. Now, it's been a long time since I've watched Two Girls, One Cup. Maybe, I can't remember when it came out, but probably like 15 years. So my memory of it is rusty. I do have one still image though in my mind. So traumatized. Anyway, don't ever, if you're in the disabled toilet, by the way, I don't regularly go in disabled toilets. The thing that I was in there because in hospitals, almost all the toilets are disabled. Okay, that's my fucking excuse. So I usually go to normal toilets. Normal? I don't know if you call them that. Like toilets where you can't see yourself in the mirror. Fucking goals, if you ask me. I never want to look at myself in the mirror when I'm shitting. I don't want to look at myself in the mirror from the side. But I don't want to look at myself in the mirror full stop. Maybe in a pose where I'm, sucking it in and looking good, but not when I'm trying to squeeze one out. In fact, sometimes there's no squeezing involved, but not when I'm trying to excrete and defecate bodily waste fluids out of my body. I just don't want to see it. And the lighting in there is hardly fucking flattering, is it? So, I've just finished like a sweaty shift. I'm there in my scrubs, my fucking fat rolls hanging over, and just don't ever do that, guys. You're going to go and do it now, aren't you? You're going to go into a toilet and you're going to be like, oh my God, Dawn did this, I'm going to do it. You know what to expect. You know there's going to be a shit there, but you're still surprised. I don't know why. And if you're not, maybe, I don't know, do you need some help or something? Maybe a counsellor? I need a counsellor. I have a counsellor, actually. So, anyway, my pants were clean from a turd for a very long time. I'm going to interrupt this storytelling by talking about what makes you more likely to shit yourself. Because I think that's what we're all here for, isn't it? Some good stories and some education. So I'm going to talk mainly about my bowels, and I'm not going to talk about like diseased bowels or people who have bowel issues as such. Like a Crohn's disease or colitis or something like that. I'm just going to talk about a regular bowel. You don't have cancer, you don't have an infection, your bowels are just wild. You could have IBS, okay? Because in some ways I would say maybe I do, but I don't like term it as that. I say I have like an overactive bowel. Not that I often say that, but if I were to define it, I would say my bowels are overactive because I have this is an important fact to remember for future stories, by the way, which are coming up. I have extremely motivated poos and very motivated bowels. If my poo wants to come out, there's no stopping it. The only thing that's stopping it is my anus. So that fella's got to have some good control. I do try and do some pelvic floor exercises every so often, and it seems to be doing the job. But look, it's not comfortable when your bowels are squeezing and your anus is trying to hold it in, and it's like, we'll get to it, but it's not good. Anyway, Tom says my poos are motivated. I go from 0 to 100 fucking real quick. You best believe it. Anyway, that's important to know because my poos come out very quickly. You will think I've gone into the toilet for a wee. Alas, you will never know unless you go in straight after and smell it, unless it's a ghost poo. But I can be in and out within a few minutes. Like, it's fucking rapid, I'm telling you. And that is a benefit. I don't understand people that are in the toilet for 30 minutes. What are you doing? Is it coming out of your bum for 30 minutes that whole time? Or do you poo and then sit there, like in the fumes of your poo with your bum hanging out covered in shit? Or do you have like one bit come out every 5 minutes? Or do you have a big bit come out within the first 5 minutes and then you're just trying to get every little morsel out over the next 25? Like, I don't understand it. Please, somebody put in the comments down below what is happening in there. I want to know. I'm sure everybody's a bit different, but for me, it's like a fucking dump truck and then I'm gone. Like, it's straight out, one load, and then I drive off and that's it. You don't see me for another day. So, they are very large and bulky. In fact, I once had what you might call, in fact I called a poo spook, which is basically I turned around and my poo actually scared me. It sounds ridiculous. It was that big. When you put a cucumber next to a cat, it was like that, but it was my poo instead. Like, it wasn't as big as a cucumber, not as long. I would say it was probably equally as thick as a cucumber. Probably it was long, okay? It was fucking, I don't know, maybe a good 8 inches. It's like a kind of big old train starts moving and it all just comes out in one long go, okay? And then I turn around. I think I've gotten into this sometimes into this habit of putting some toilet roll in before so you don't get the splashing and so you don't get like skid marks, because nobody wants to brush, do they? Who knows who's been holding that beforehand. So I put some toilet roll in. Anyway, I don't know if I put too much in or somebody had like weed before or something, whatever. But I turn around and it's like what looks like a fucking python staring back at me. It is so big, and I actively jumped and came out with a mild scream. It was scary. So that was poo spook of 2021, I think. Yeah. Now nothing scares me. Now I've had one big poo spook, I'm like, ooh, now I'm like, wow, I want to take a picture of them sometimes. I want to be like, look at this. This is probably on the Guinness Book of Records, like it should be. That's how big it is. Honestly, it's like fucking the mountain, you know, that like Icelandic guy, if he did a shit, that's what I imagine they look like. But I am 5'1" and small, and I just don't understand where they come from. Like, I really don't. Anyway, I am not constipated on a regular basis, so that always helps speed things along. I also think my poos are quite bulky because I eat quite a lot of fruit and veg, so that kind of like bulks it all up, you know, and like sticks it together, and like it never like really comes out in like bits. Obviously my poo type varies, and that is affected by, number one, stimulants, caffeine, namely coffee. Number two, I'm on a medication at the moment, which I have talked about on my channel, and it's basically, it can cause diarrhea. I don't know if that's the cause, but alas, something happened the other day. It was a mild disaster. Certain foods, obviously, spicy or having lots of artificial sweeteners, which I don't have, but pardon me, I do sometimes have spicy foods, so guilty as charged. There's also something called a gastrocolic reflex. Now, when you have eaten food in your mouth, I don't know why I felt the need to specify which way the food had come in. When you eat food from your mouth, it basically, there's a reflex in your stomach system, your gastrointestinal system, that goes, whoa boys, we need to make room, because we've just had a big intake, a big influx of new material, so of new stock, all right? We need to get some of the old stock out. We need to put it on sale. Lots of people want to buy the sale items. It's like putting the sale on at fucking Tesco at 8 p.m. Like, everyone's in there and it's like bam, 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 bam. Like, everything's out, okay? That is like my bowels. They get the new stock in, and then they put the poo on sale, and it's a big exit. And it usually takes, sometimes it's fairly quick, sometimes maybe 15 minutes, maybe sometimes 30. Depends how constipated I am at the time. Depends how much I've eaten, I suppose, as well. And it's quite common, you know, if you go out for food and then everyone goes to the toilet after they've eaten. Quite a common thing. And it's not because I actually thought this once, all right? I learned this is not the case, mainly from being mocked by my fellow doctor friends. So I was like, why is it that your poo comes out when you eat? Like, is it just that it's like one long poo system, like a syringe? And they were like, no, it's because it's like a reflex. Like, as soon as you eat something, your stomach starts contracting, your bowels start contracting more to like empty it out. And I was like, oh, I just thought it was one long sort of tube that was being shoved down. All of your poo was connected. And then, oh my God, can you imagine? Because if that was the case, then my whole fucking colon would come out. I have regularly blocked the toilet. It used to be a very big problem in our last house that we rented, because the toilet basin hole thing was just not big enough. Like, it would regularly get blocked, and it was quite distressing because I just didn't want to have to keep, you know, plunging that thing. We didn't have a plunger. We actually I had to do it with the toilet brush. Anyway, those are my confessions for the day. Movement, walking around, really fucking gets your bowels going. It's just like that bouncing up and down, and that sort of hitting, and it's just gravity, all right? That's just physics. Also, alcohol gives you diarrhea to start with, and also makes you probably in less control of your bodily functions. Let me tell a very quick story of the time that I stupidly got a picture when I was at Glastonbury, I think it was. Was it Glastonbury? I think it was. I was at Glastonbury, and I was like, let's like go take a picture with that guy. Anyway, he was like passed out. These are things you do when you're 20 or whatever, 18, whatever I was, I don't know. I think I was 22. I laid down behind him. I wasn't really touching him because, you know, consent and stuff. He was unconscious. So I pretended to spoon him from behind. And then As I got up, we realised that not only had he pissed himself, but he'd also shat himself. So that was a bad night for him. It was only the Wednesday on Glastonbury as well. And thankfully I hadn't touched him, but I was like, whoa, that was a close call. I don't think I've ever shat myself whilst I've been drunk. Have I pissed myself? Yes. Well, it's not that I don't know it's happening, it's that I can't stop it. So there we go. Anxiety, which I think is causing my overactive bowels. I did have some overactive bladder, but I'm getting on top of that now. And also, when you rush to the toilet, not only are you running, getting more stressed, making your bowels contract more, but also you're running, so it's like more gravity working against you, but with your bowels. And there's a weird thing that your brain, I think, holds on to your poo until it's like, there's a toilet right there. Because if you notice, you'll be like out and then you'll come home and then you'll be like, oh, now I need a shit really bad. So I don't know what that's about, but there's some kind of mental thing going on, like neurological thing. Shitting in public, episode 2. I was in the Lake District. I decided to go on a holiday on my own, but with my dogs. There were no people around because I'd climbed a massive hill up to a viewpoint. And this hill was fucking massive. Like, you wouldn't be on this hill if you weren't going out of your way to get onto this hill. It was fucking huge. It was like steps all the way up, like killer. So you walk up to this like top bit where it's like loads of really nice fields and like this beautiful stream. It was fucking lovely. And another stream on the other side with a waterfall. And I had a coffee, which I think contributed. Oops. But I have coffee every day. Like, it wasn't like a weird thing. I don't know if it was just more strong than normal or whatever was happening. I do not know. So I'm walking along. Now, bear in mind that this place was really open. There were no like trees. There were no bushes. And this one was a fucking surprise. It hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like, fine. You need to go to the toilet right now. Like, right fucking now, instantly. You need to go. And I was like, ah. I tried holding it in. I walked along a bit. And then I get these things that happen where it's like contracting. Like, someone is fucking plunging my bowels and like squeezing them like a toothpaste tube. And I'm really holding on tight. But this one is not holding back. So I found like a natural kind of crater in the ground that was not very well hidden, but alas, it was better than nothing. I look around, no one's there. I'm like, shit, this is coming out. Like, I can't stop it. It's like a volcano, okay? I pull down my trousers and pants as quickly as I can. I squat down and it erupts from me, like fires out of me like a fucking hydrant of poo. It was like cowpat consistency, i.e. a type 6 stool. Maybe type 5. Probably a type 6, if you're looking at the Bristol stool chart. It's basically called mushy pieces. Kind of a bit like when, you know, when toilet paper has been like in water for a long time and it goes that kind of mushy vibe thing. A bit like that. It was slightly light brown. But it was like cowpat, like it fucking flew out of me, and it was this big mound, I swear, like this, like a bowl had, like a cereal bowl size had been like turned upside down. And thankfully I had tissues, so I cleaned myself up. And I was like, well, I can't leave the tissues there. And also I have this really paranoid thought that I'm like, what happens if somebody does think that's a human shit? It could equally be a cow shit, like it was that big and it was that consistency. But I also, number one, don't want people to stand in it. Number two, don't want anybody to like come along and test it, which I know is a really weird paranoid thought to have. But I'm always like, what happens if somebody tests it and then they find out it was me that shat there in public? So, there was also another factor. I decided to clean it up, but there was another factor, not only having tissues, not only being paranoid that someone was going to test my poo and out me to the world, despite me doing it right now. But I was, I was a bit more fragile back then. Also, I'm in control of my own story, okay? You're not like weird, more poos in public for pleasure. Like, I'm not doing it for pleasure. I'm doing it because I fucking can't help it, all right? So, there I am. I get a poo bag. Thankfully, I've got a poo bag, ironically, because I'm picking up poo, but not a dog's. So, I'm picking up I've got a poo bag. I put the tissue in. I think, do I pick the poo up? I don't know. Do I pick it up? And then I'm just carrying a thing of my own shit? Because there's no poo bag bins up there, you know? It was just like almost not in the middle of nowhere, but there wasn't much up there. And I was like, I don't know. But there was something that sealed the deal for me. I'm making this decision. I'm mulling it over. There I am, just the wind in my hair. Like, it was a beautiful fucking day. I'm telling you, it was nice. It was, you know, it was a nice day to have this happen, realistically. Could have gone a lot worse. Anyway, I'm standing there and then suddenly the dogs think it's dinner time. Yeah, the dogs run over, both of them. I'm actually horrified to be telling you this, but it's a fucking true story. They start eating my shit. They're eating my fucking shit. But they're not like eating it like biting it, you know, like you would. They're licking it because they can't bite it because it's liquid. Almost liquid. I don't know. They thought they were having some kind of fun, stinky ice cream. No. I saw this. I was horrified. I was like, stop it! Stop! I honestly freaked out. I was like, stop right now! Not only was this horrifying enough, but now my dogs are fucking eating my own feces. So that cleared it up for me. I was picking this poo up and carrying it in my bag home. Yes, that is what happened. And that is episode where I shat in public, episode 2. Okay, episode 3. There are 6. Yeah, we're halfway. Episode 4 and 5, very quick. Okay, don't be too alarmed. So episode 3 was a bit more sedate. This one was a bit more formed. I was on Dartmoor. By the way, all of these take place in very remote places. I'm not just, except the last one, I'm not just walking along the street and I'm like, do you know what? I'm on the high street and I need a shit. I know, I'll go down an alleyway and do it there. No, I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere. There are no toilets for literally 2 hours. Like, I don't have a choice. And it's an urgent situation. Either I shit myself or I shit on the floor. So that's the situation. Again, we have another bulky poo. I could feel this one. It moved a bit more slowly. Its transition time was more sedate through my bowels. But alas, I was like, she's coming and I can't stop her. It was like the Titanic going through an iceberg. Like, big, bulky, but you can't fucking stop the Titanic, alright? It was too late to turn. So I had a bit more time this time. I was with Tom and the 2 dogs again. Now I said to Tom, I don't want you being anywhere near this situation when it happens. Like, I want to be on my own. Thankfully, we're in a wood, so there were loads of trees. Now, he put the dogs on the lead and took them away, probably traumatized from my last experience, but also, I don't know, you just want a bit of privacy when this situation's going on, don't you? So I dig a little hole and it flies out. No surprises there. And I just cover the hole and that's it. That one was quite nice. That one was relieving. It wasn't that stressful. It was like, you know, I was undercover. I was in a wood. I was like, I've got to go. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't hold on till we get back to the car and then drive somewhere. No, we're out for fucking hours at a time. We're out for like, it's going to take, 2 or 3 hours to walk back to the car and then to drive somewhere as well. Like, I haven't got the stamina for that. I've been working out my anal sphincter, but she is not ready for that kind of commitment. That kind of, situation. She's not ready for a competition like that. She will lose against the marathon anal sphincters. Anyway, so that one went quite well. I was just honest. I was like, I need a shit. So sorry, I'm going to have to poo in the bush. Now, number 4 and 5 are very quick, but they're both different. All of these are different, Well, all of these situations have something in common, they're all in the wilderness, but they're not all the same. There are very different situations going on. So, number 4 times I shit in public was on summit night of Kilimanjaro. Now, I'd been fine not fine, but my bowels had not started producing literal liquid out of my asshole for the whole time I was there. But the last night, I really got hit with altitude sickness, and one of the symptoms is diarrhea. As you go up the mountain, there's not much cover. It's literally rock and maybe one big rock. Anyway, I'm climbing up with, what's his name? He's called Big Fish, but that's not Michael. And Benjamin, the two guides. They're probably used to this, you know. I need to go and pee every fucking half an hour, but I also need to shit. Like, I had to shit myself. I shat probably like at least 10 times that day. We were climbing for 9 hours, and it was a bad time. God, I took lots of loperamide because I knew it was altitude poos, right? So I was like, I don't know what happens. I think your bowel just, like, it doesn't have any oxygen. So it's like, I'm fucking dying. I just need to get rid of everything in my lumen. So everything just fucking erupts out of you. They're not big poos. They're not my usual bulky boys. These ones are small but frequent. I felt bad because these guys are fucking fine. Michael and Benjamin are fine. And there I am, crying, yes, pooing. By the way, it's not just me that's shitting all the way up this mountain. Behind every rock, there's about 10 other poos. Like, everyone is shitting up this mountain. Because there's nowhere else to poo, you just have to poo there. Anyway, my ass, I use baby wipes because... you know, wiping with tissue continuously just uses so much. So I use baby wipes, especially out there, you know. You don't want to be carrying loads of tissue around with you. So I use baby wipes, and my ass, by the end of it, oh my God, I had to put like Sudocrem on it because I was just like constantly diarrhea and then constantly wiping my ass with this wet wipe, and it was a bad time. Oh boy. Okay, anyway, that resolved when we went back down, thank the fucking Lord. That was one of the worst nights of my life. One of them. There are many, but there are a few, I mean. Probably like 5 to 10 worst days of my life. That peaks at number, I would say probably like maybe 4. It's like halfway. It's pretty fucking high. It's, you know, it was like torture. And I'm going again, and I'm doing it in 6 weeks' time. I'm doing it again. I'm kind of thinking like, you know, oh, I've done it once before, so I know what to expect and my body's going to be okay now. No, I don't think that'll happen. I think I'm going to struggle just as much as I did last time. But hopefully I'll be like, I know what to expect and I'm going to train for it this time, which I didn't before. So fuck me. Altitude is honestly the worst thing in the world. Like, not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely up there. All right, number 5. I was on a wilderness course. This was the first time I was consensually allowed to shit in public because we had to, in fact, one of the teams of the whole group, this was a fucking great course, by the way. We did 3 days of bushcraft, fave. We put up our own like hammocks and we slept in hammocks and we had tarps and we put up like, yeah, it was really good. And put up like canopies, I was going to say. And that was in the Lake District as well. So one of the teams had to build the toilet. Now what you have to do is just dig and then put a tarp above it. This was kind of like weirdly disconcerting because both of the ends are like open of the like tent that's like that and that you can just see straight through, but you have to straddle the hole. You can't like stand with the tarp behind you with, you know, one. It just won't work. Like, you have to straddle it, otherwise, you know, you could end up with poo in your pants, like falling down into your pants. So there you are, straddling it. You don't want to face that way because the group is that way, and you don't want someone to come and see you pooing. So you face the other way, and then you're like, what happens if somebody's like in the forest? And then there's just me with my ass hanging out and a big brown trunk falling out of it. Now this is where it's fun to be a quick pooer because out it comes and you're on your way. Can you imagine if you did like one of those half an hour poos? Like, your legs would be burning from that squat. I'd have pins and needles from that. Anyway, episode 6, definitely the worst one because number 1, it was literally this week. The pups were there again. They're just always there. It's because, you know, they're always out with me when I'm walking. And the second worst bit about it was not only that it's recent, but that I was so close to my fucking home. I tried to work it out. I was like, oh my God, I must have like 500 meters, 600 meters maybe to walk, and I can't make it. I literally physically can't make it. I battled walking a few steps and then I had the contractions and I was like sweating and I was like trying to stop this fucking shit baby come out of me. And it was honestly an effort, like a big effort. I was like really straining against this poo, and I was like, oh my god, my bowel's gonna like explode. Like, that is how much it was contracting. I was like, can you not just chill out, please? Can you not just calm down and let me walk home and then do your thing? Like, why do you have to do this now? I didn't really need the toilet that much before I left, like maybe a 1 or 2 out of 10, and then suddenly it was like, no, this bitch is coming. I'm coming out. Get ready. I hope you've got your nursery ready for this poo baby. So I made the executive decision after much too long of like 15 minutes of probably, I walked like 100 meters. I was like, I can't. I was stopping every few steps, like really trying to squeeze my anus to stop this from coming out. And I know some of it's anxiety, because the more you're like, I'm gonna shit myself in public, the more anxious you get. So you're like, then your bowels start contracting more, because it's like, you know, that fight or flight thing. And then you're like, oh god, do I run home? And then it's like, no, because then it might fucking fully fall out of me. And it was a bad time, basically, mentally. Now, the good thing about where I walk the dogs is there's basically trees all around. I was like, I'm going to have to go down one of these tracks, and I'm going to have to do it. Again, I squat down. The dogs don't follow me, thankfully. I thought they might eat this. So I protected from that situation. I don't know that it's that problematic, but it really rubs me up the wrong way. I can't have my own dogs eating my shit. Like, it's just weird. Fucking like this video if you agree. And so I managed to find this really nice secluded spot. Like, it was made for me. It was made for this situation. And I was like, yes, thank God. Because it was like a track that led down off the main park bit into like a wooded area, but the track didn't lead anywhere. So it wasn't like someone was going to come the other way. It was like this little cove, like tiny little, like maybe everyone had just pissed and shat there and I was just standing in everybody's toilet juices. But anyway, pants down, fucking flies out of me. Of course it does. Now, the difference with this one is it's a mixture of 2 types. Number 1, it's like a nice solid type 4, type 5, right? Like a huge but nice, firm, smooth sausage. Like, huge. Like, it would have been poo spook, but poo spook had already come and gone. I was over poo spook. On top of that was like some kind of like a jus, like a pooey dressing of type 6 stool. A bit lighter than the one underneath. Anyway, this was a mountain of shit. It was like a pudding with custard over it. It was huge. So there I was, and I was like gathering sticks, trying not to grab ones that were covered in shit. And then I realised, so I was covering up my shit. Managed to do that. Then I realised I don't have any tissues. I'm like, oh my god, this mushy boy has just fucking ravished its way out of my rectum through no choice of my own. Now I have to deal with the consequences. Am I going to walk home with poo sliding in between my butt cheeks? And I was like, yes. I was like, I can't rub my ass with leaves. Like, who knows what that will lead to, and I do not want to have to explain that to doctors. So I made the executive decision to get a poo bag. Poo bag saves the day, part 2. Poo bag, lined my pants like a sanitary towel, because obviously I'd weed as well a bit, with the poo bag, and then I pulled my pants up. Now, that wasn't going to stop, the poo chafe between the butt cheeks, but it was going to stop poo like going onto my pants and wee going onto my pants, and it was an emergency measure to just get me home. I was like, I want to get home, I want to get out of this, and it was traumatizing. The dogs come down this fucking alleyway thing and they're like, Mum, what are you doing? Smells good. Have you made pudding? And I'm like, no, get out now, leave. So there we go. Those were all my traumatizing poo stories, which I'm sure none of you wanted to hear, but if you're still listening, wow. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you enjoyed listening to my absolute destruction of my soul, essentially. Some of those poo disasters were nice and relieving. Some of them I very much hate myself for. I hate my body. I'm like, why can you not just behave? Just stop it and just let me go home, go to a toilet where everybody wants me to poo. Nobody wants me to go and poo in a fucking bush in the park. There's children running about probably somewhere on their little tricycles, and I'm there like... Anyway, If you've ever wondered why your dog stares at you whilst they're pooing, I can tell you why, because I've been in this situation. You're very vulnerable with your pants down and your bum out and poo coming out of you. It's a horrible situation to be in. If I had somebody with me, I would be like, keep a fucking eye out, and I would be watching them. I'd be like, alert me if somebody's watching. Alert me if someone's gonna come and take a picture or like attack me. Like, I can kind of see why my dogs are like making intense eye contact with me now whilst they're pooing, because they're like so vulnerable. Please. Anyway, that's the end of that. I guess the learning points from that are always carry poo bags, always carry tissues, and never let your dogs eat your shit. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. If you want to hear more, obviously subscribe or follow and like give it a like and shit like that. Share it with your friends. You know, this would be like a really good gift to them. Like, oh, there's this weird girl who talks about how many times she's pooed in public, so you could go listen to that. If you're listening on the podcast, thanks so much for listening, but there is a video if you want to go check it out on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can listen on the go. Just go Backseat Positivity on any way you stream podcasts and it will be on there. Okay, love ya, bye.